Yo, what the fuck is up, YouTube? It's your boy Haunted back with another video, and today I'm going to be telling y'all a wild-ass story about how I did 1.6 grams of Molly in one day at my friend's house. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So this starts off about, I don't know, maybe... Damn, it was like a couple weeks ago now. Shit was wild, dude. I ain't gonna lie. This shit should have been the end of me. I was being wild as shit. I mean, not saying it should have been, but like it really could have been. I was really being wild as fuck, thinking I really underestimated the power of this shit. Because, up until this point, I had only done, ecstasies. So I was really just kind of doing this shit, like with no caution. Because I thought, well, I was invincible damn near type shit. Because, I had such a high tolerance to ecstasy at the time. I've been clean off that shit for a couple weeks now. I'm not going to say I've been clean, but I haven't been doing it type shit. So, yeah. So basically I'm at my friend's house. I'm not at my friend's house. I'm at my crib, right? And I hit up the plug, right? The plug says he's got Molly in. And this isn't just no ecstasy. This is straight Molly rocks, right? So, I happen to have some money at the time, So, I had some shit to throw down. So I was like, you know what? Today's a good day to maybe cop some of this shit. I've been doing ecstasies a lot, Let's see what the real deal is like, you know what I'm saying? That was a fucking voice crack. Okay, voice crack aside. Yeah, so I just wanted to see what the real deal was like, see how these rocks were gonna hit me and see how this shit was really. Cause in my city it's really easy to find ecstasy, but it's pretty fucking hard to find, Molly rocks and shit. So you end up getting stuck doing these like triple stack pills if you want some strong shit. And you have to have a good connect to like find these triple stacks that are even real, because dudes out here will just sell you a triple stack, so a supposed triple stack, but it's really just meth. Like you can tell like as soon as you taste that shit tastes damn near like, bro, if you ever taste a Molly or an ecstasy pill, and I don't know how to describe it. If you ever taste an ecstasy and it tastes cold, like I don't know, that's the only way I can describe it. If it tastes like that shit is like freezing cold in your mouth, spit that shit out, bro. You are doing a mystery amphetamine, my boy. You gotta put that shit down. You gotta reevaluate your plug at that point. So yeah, basically I wanted to cop some of this Molly, so I hit up my boy Coop. I ain't gonna say anymore. I'm just gonna call him Coop. I hit up Coop and I'm like, all right, let's fucking do this shit. So I hit him up, and he lives pretty fucking far. And he doesn't live in a different city, but he lives like on the complete fucking other side of the city. So I hit him up and I asked him if he still got this shit in, and he's like, yeah, of course. And I ask about prices, and I'm just shocked because this nigga's like, okay, $80 for the 1.5, and that was me bargaining with bro. I said $80 for the 1.5, so and he actually ended up throwing a 1.6 in. So shouts out, bro, for the extra fucking point. So I'm like, okay, I want to buy this today, but I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get there. So I hit up my friend and I'm like, yo, bro, can your dad drive me over to this restaurant? Because that's where we were like, okay, we'll meet there if we do this shit, right? So I'm like asking if this dude's dad can drive me over to the restaurant. He's like, yeah, let me go ask. His dad says yeah, and yeah, so I guess we're off on our way then. So basically I waited a couple minutes. It took like 5 minutes for bro to get to my crib. He lives super close to me. His dad's in the car and shit, and I hop in the car, I say what's up to his dad, I say what's up to my homie, and as soon as his dad asked me, he's like, where are we going? And I was like, I say the restaurant. He was like, oh. And I was like, what's up? What's the problem? And apparently my homie didn't tell him. He didn't decide to mention the fact that we were driving across the city to his dad. His dad thought we were going somewhere pretty close. So I'm pretty pissed at my friend that he didn't tell him, but I was going to throw him gas money anyway, but I ended up throwing him a little extra because I could tell he was kind of annoyed about that shit. And I would be too, don't get me wrong, bro. So I threw him a little like extra $10 in gas money because I'm a nice fucking guy, you know what I'm saying? I could be a little nice sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So, we're on our way over to Plugman's house, or not house, the fucking restaurant. We get over there, we hop out the car. I'm waiting in the parking lot for about 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? Plugman hits me up, says he's there. He pulls into the parking lot. I tell him where I'm at. I do this little deal with bro, pretty fucking simple. I get that shit done, dap bro up, tell him to say something funny to my other homie that put me on with him, when he sees him next, and I just hop out the car, and I'm excited as fuck. I'm looking at these shits, and I like these little rocks and shit, and I'm just like, damn, these shits look fucking beautiful as fuck. Because I know what these shits are supposed to look like and shit, and they just look beautiful. They're like yellow tinted and shit. and fucking the consistency was right from what I had read, and it just looked right, you know what I'm saying? So I am fucking ecstatic in the car. And I also had copped some weed off of dude. I think I ended up spending maybe 110 on this whole fucking process, with gas money and the weed that I also bought from bro, which, oh my God, the weed was fucking fire, dude. If I could put a picture up on screen, I might. YouTube might demonetize me, so I'll decide if that's a good decision, while editing the rest of this video after the voiceover. But yeah, so basically we ended up getting to my homie's house, and I had known to dose this shit, or correctly, but I didn't know that until this point. I don't know how I've been a drug addict for as long as I have. I didn't know that there was I didn't know that you were supposed to do 0.08 or 0, you know what I mean? I thought it was points. I would go by 0.1, 0.2, and then fucking up it at that point. First fucking mistake of the day. So I ended up dropping a fucking 0.1 of this shit off rip. I should have been doing a 0.05 if I'm being honest, just to be safe and shit. But no, I didn't. I fucking dropped the 0.1, probably a little bit more. I did weigh it, so I know I dropped close to a 0.1. And we were off, bro. And I remember it was probably 20 minutes later. I remember I just started breathing hard. When you're off the Molly and you just, you guys know what I mean if you ever done this shit before. It's a specific breathing. And I remember my eyes, dude. My homie had told me I was at my homie's house at this point, and he had told me, I asked him, I was like, bro, are my eyes big? You know what I'm saying? And he was like, bro, look in the mirror. And he has a mirror in the corner of his room, and I look over at it, and I remember fucking my eyes were my pupils giant, bro. They were huge. And I remember I kept looking at it. I remember fixating on that the fact that my pupils were huge, and I was rolling. I remember off all the ecstasy I've done, I remember my jaw's clenched a fuck ton, but there's no other day in my life where my jaw has clenched so fucking aggressively. The day after all of this happened, after the crazy roll, where I just went wild on the Molly, it felt like I had got fucking skull fucked by the skull of Nansapwe from Zetsubo no Shima, okay? That shit was it literally I woke up with the worst headache of my life, and it felt like somebody it felt like Mike Tyson just came and haymakered my ass 15 times in the fucking jaw. It was ridiculous how hard my jaw was clenching already. And I thought, I didn't see any problem with this. It was I was feeling so fucking good. I remember I was just listening to some music with my homie, and I was just vibing out. Nothing was going wrong in my mind at all. But, I take shit far, I really do. I have a problem. This is my thing with drugs. I just cannot stop myself. If I have a substance, I'm going to do all of it. And that doesn't matter what it is. It's most likely that I'll do all of it if I'm feeling real good off this shit. You know what I'm saying? An eighth lasts me an hour at this point, dude. I ain't gonna lie. That's a blunt for me, bro. And that's for a lot of people. I don't know why that's I'm saying it like it's something crazy. But, that's kind of how I am with drugs. I gotta do it all, you know what I'm saying? I gotta get right, you know what I'm saying? Unless I'm really struggling, then I gotta, keep that shit, keep it scarce with the use, you know what I'm saying? So I remember I just kept, at some point in the day, I just kept doing more points. It went from point, I think I did a 0.2 and then another point. I don't know how. I didn't even know that you could overdose on Molly at this point. I didn't know. I didn't know you could have a heart attack or potentially die at all. I didn't know any of that was a thing. I thought it was just safe. I don't know why I have that mindset with a lot of drugs. That was also how it was when I first started DXM. But, I kept dropping more and more points. I remember at some point I just stopped fucking weighing it because I was rolling so hard. And we're going to get to the point in the night where I just fully started fucking hallucinating and just rolling off the shits. These are the most intense visuals I've ever gotten off MDMA in my life. And I remember it got to the point where I had passed the gram point, where I had done over a gram. And I shit you not, I my right hand on my granny soul, bro, the point where I passed a gram of Molly. Maybe that's not that crazy, but for me, it's wild. And especially because I'm not that big of a kid, bro, or fucking a person, you know what I'm saying? I'm probably 135, that's a lot of fucking Molly. I know I kept fucking doing it. And I remember there was this those dab tools, the sharp ended dab tools, they kind of look like an arrow. I may put a picture on screen, but I start dipping it into the bag and grabbing a fuck ton of Molly off. I remember I would put 0.3s and shit, not 0.2s, 0.3s, just mounds of Molly. I had probably dude, it was a wild amount of Molly that I was doing. I remember I was chilling the whole night. I was never like tweaking out until like I wasn't tweaking, but like I wasn't not functional until like the end of the night. I don't know if I overdosed. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I just passed the fuck out, because that's not really a thing with Molly, but it definitely did happen to me. So, I kept doing these mounds of Molly like off this fucking dab tool, and dude, I remember I was sitting on the couch. There was no visuals until this point, or maybe I wasn't paying attention. If any of you guys have ever done like psychedelics, there's I feel like a lot of people can agree with this, a lot of people can't. There's a fucking sound that starts playing for people. The point where Molly becomes a psychedelic for me, I guess now I know that like when I'm really tripping off the shit, that's the sound that plays. This really distinct sound plays in my head when I'm like starting to trip off a lot of substances, including like acid or like, this really acid and duster, but this sound came back from Molly. I can't really describe what it sounds like, but I knew it was there. So when I started hallucinating, I remember the first thing I saw, and I remember telling my homie, it was like, it was funny, because I remember on his closet, there was like these wasps, like dead ass, just like bees, like the ones that fly around and shit, just like circling around like the doors of his closet. And I remember they were trying to tell me something. I was like, yo, Finn, bro, those bees are trying to tell me something. He's like, what bees, bro? And I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I can see 3 bees on your closet, and they're like moving in a weird like rotation. I don't know, bro. I was trying to describe it to him, but I couldn't. So he was like, yeah, bro, that's fucking fire, bro. Try to find out what they're telling you. I'm like, I definitely will, bro. These motherfuckers are definitely, they got a message to tell, bro. So, after that, I look at the wall, and I remember these like weird ass, like, you guys know like chemical structures and shit, like how they look like, I guess, the molecule of a chemical. I remember these just weird ass chemical structures like started spawning on the wall, and like they were just like on the wall, and they were like all different colors and shit in the center of them. I don't know how to describe it, but like they were just like a gradient of different certain colors, just like flashing and flashing and flashing. And I remember like a very slight like almost like if you had like an ocean but you made it transparent and just stuck it over my eyes like a fucking filter, like that's what it looked like. And I remember my whole body just felt like fucking like warm, and like I just remember feeling so like good, like it felt like nothing I've ever felt on MDMA before. It was the craziest shit I've ever felt in my fucking life. And I remember this too, my jaw was clenching so hard, but it's like you can control it sometimes. I should have had some fucking gum. That's always what I should do now, from now on, doing ecstasy or Molly. But dude, I remember my jaw was clenched so hard, dude. It hurt, but I couldn't feel that it hurt. You know what I'm saying? It was clenched so hard that I could feel the pain a little bit, even off the Molly, even though Molly makes like the pain completely fucking stop. It was some wild shit. And I remember my friend's carpet, it like, at some point I was tripping so hard. All of this is going on at the same time. The bees are there. The fucking hexagons on the wall are still there, and they're turning into like the hexagons and different like molecules and shit are turning into different shit on the wall. I don't know how to describe that shit. I remember his carpet just became like brown grass at some point. It was cool, but it was so weird at the same time. It was fucking like, dude, if I had to describe this experience, it would just be like fucked up. That's how I describe it. I was just really fucked up. And I remember this is the only time I've ever fallen asleep off Molly. This is why I say I don't know if I like overdosed or anything, but I remember just passing the fuck out. Like I do remember falling asleep. I just remember at some point I leaned my head back and I closed my eyes and I got some like, I first noticed that there was some really wild ass closed eye visuals. It looked like there was a fucking galaxy going on in my mind and shit. I remember I was just thinking the most positive out of every situation that's happened in my life while looking at this galaxy. And I guess I did this I think either I overdosed and I just fucking passed out or something like that, or I got so deep into the thoughts of this galaxy and me like thinking so positively that I just fell asleep to it, I guess. Or I fucking did it for so long that I was able to come down and fall asleep. Either way, I realized a lot of shit there. I kind of just realized that I need to think more positively. I guess that's what I kind of got from that. I don't know. But yeah, I thought really positively about a lot of my past experiences, even though they were like quite shitty. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the trip. I woke up the next morning feeling like I got skull fucked. And I felt the most depressed I probably felt ever. And I'll probably go into that in another video that I plan on making called How to Deal with Molly Lows. But yeah, I hope y'all have a good fucking rest of y'all's day. I hope y'all fucking stay safe out there.